Hey, today we're going to go over the first 10 floors of Trial Mode in Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age. Now, Trial Mode has been around since the International Zodiac Job System debuted in Japan back on the PlayStation 2, and it had a lot of cool weapons and items you could find or steal. The only problem was, there was no way to export your save back into the main game. All the awesome loot you found was forever trapped in your trial run. That's not the case anymore thanks to this remaster. Anything you find is fair game to be brought back into your main save, making it possible to get absurd advantages early on. Not to mention, it's an amazing way to grind out license points. So, in the spirit of breaking things, we're going to take a look at the first 10 floors to see what's out there and what's actually worth trying for. The first floor has you facing off against rats, because, well, it's an RPG. What's especially notable here, though, is the Diamond Armlet. Turn left and head up the stairs to find a treasure chest right in the corner of the railing. The fact that you can get this accessory this early in the game is great for two reasons. One, its main purpose, which is to replace the majority of chests in the game with different items. Now, don't just go wearing it blindly. Early in the game, you're actually going to want to get the original contents of most chests, not the knot of rust and meteorites that the armlet replaces them with. But getting the armlet early does mean you can get a head start on trying to get the game's ultimate weapon. And two, it sells for an insane amount of money. 6,000 Jill, repeatable every few mins that early in the game, means you'll basically never want for money. I was buying out shops just to buy them, like the Evilise version of the Monopoly Man, just tossing Gil into the street. Anyway, the other nice thing about the first floor is that it's a consistent source of potions early in the game. Now, they quickly lose their usefulness, but if you find yourself running low on them early on, when it's just Vaughn running around the desert, stealing them from the rats here can be a good way to stock up. You'll occasionally hit the rare Phoenix Down steal too, which are always useful. Now, every floor here has two chests. We've already talked about the Diamond Armlet, so that leaves the other chest, which is in the same spot, just on the opposite end of the arena. It only contains a potion though, so you can safely skip it. Now that you've got a Diamond Armlet, you can actually start changing up the chest spawns here on the trial floors too. With it equipped, the Diamond Armlet chest contains the First Aid Technic, and the opposite one contains a head guard. Worth grabbing once each, though getting more than one version of a technic or spell does absolutely nothing. So once you've cleared the room once, leave the Diamond Armlet unequipped each time you come through here so you can keep farming that sweet 6k. The second floor has you squaring off against Dextera, an early hunt in the main game. This can be challenging if you're still early on with Vaughn. You probably want to come back when you've either leveled a bit or gotten a second party member. None of the steals here are particularly great. It's pretty much just potions and Phoenix Downs, though Thixtera at least has a chance at high potions, which is something, I guess. Not worth farming though. There will be much better ways to get high potions in the floors to come. The two chests here are located down and around the back of the arena, where you'll find a Dark Moat, and up to the side where you'll find a Phoenix Down. The Diamond Armlet changes things up a bit, replacing them with the Fire Spell and another Head Guard. Honestly, neither version of each chest is worth going after, so you're best off killing everything as quickly as possible and moving on to the next floor. The third floor is where things start to get interesting. You've now got a chance at stealing one of the best weapons in the game. It's not an ultimate invisible bow, but it is a one-handed sword that will confuse everything it touches, including me, because I have no idea why they put it here so early. It's called the Karkata, and you'll need a knight and a lot of license points if you want to wield it right away. Bushies get access to it too, but you'll need the Esper Zalera before that's actually viable, so it's gonna be a while. This is a rare steal from the Flowering Cactoid, so expect to see a lot of retries and a lot of longswords before you finally land it. It's also got a Mithril Blade as an uncommon steal, which actually isn't a bad early game weapon, especially since it can be equipped by anyone without needing a license. But since it's one of the weapons standing between you and the Karkata, it's like putting a nice steak knife next to a giant blood sword and asking you to be impressed. Now, given that I've had some luck nailing down some of the RNG in this game, I know what you're probably asking. Is Absoluticus your real name? And the answer is no, of course not. What kind of stupid question is that? Why would you even... Anyway, you might also be asking if there's a way to manipulate the RNG to ensure the Karkata steal every time. And the answer is kind of, but not really. I've had some success repeating solo runs with Fran and the Seitengrat where things play out a certain way and it guarantees a Karkata steal, but it's far from reproducible, and definitely not something I suggest you try. You're much better off attempting to steal it normally, and quitting and reloading the autosave if you didn't get the weapon you wanted. Just keep trying and it'll show up eventually. And something to keep in mind is that it sells for almost 11,000 gil for once you start getting duplicates. The chests here aren't really anything special. One close to the beginning on the left has a Dispel mode, and the one on the right has a Chronos tear. Trigger? I have no idea. The Diamond Armlet replaces them with the unimpressive Cure spell and a leather breastplate. Before we move on though, there is actually a hidden Ripe Rampager down the ramp in the back of the arena. He's got some decent things to steal, like a bronze shield, a pair of gauntlets, and a round shield. He'll also drop various motes when you defeat him. It's nothing amazing, and he can be safely skipped, though he is a decent source of LP for just a little bit of extra work. Keep in mind that if you are trying to kill him, the stage will automatically end when all the cacti are defeated, regardless if he's still standing. The fourth floor is almost wholly unimpressive, especially coming from how amazing the last one was. Razorfen will usually let you grab high potions with the occasional dark mote, while his lackeys have eye drops and phoenix downs you can steal. The two chests here are upstairs like they were when you fought the rats, only this time they're tucked away in the back. The one on the left has a remedy, which can be worth grabbing, while the one on the right has a Soleil Fang, which can be more or less ignored. It does fire damage to enemies, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but you'll usually have better ways of making that happen. Replacing the chests with the Diamond Armlet actually makes them worse, offering up a pointy hat and some onion arrows instead. So grab a remedy if you want, but otherwise just move on. The fifth floor gets interesting again. You'll pretty much immediately get charged by a werewolf, which is nice because he's actually who we're interested in here. His easiest steal is the Windbreaker, a pretty decent light armor for early in the game. He's also got some Chainmail for your heavy armor users. His rare steal though is the Berserk Bracers, which in Final Fantasy XII is actually a pretty good accessory. Put it on your main damage dealer to increase their attack and speed at the low cost of losing complete control. Now obviously I wouldn't recommend one on everybody, but putting one on a character and letting them go crazy can be a pretty effective strategy in this game. The neck bet can cough up a gold needle or phoenix down, while the army of cockatrices, will have echo herbs and more phoenix downs. The chests here again aren't anything special. You're looking at a bubble mode and gold needle. Putting the Diamond Armlet on turns them into Blinda and a Silken Shirt, which might be useful grabbing once, but then you're probably better off skipping the chest on this floor entirely. The sixth floor puts you right back on the same map, this time against the Cluckatrice and a handful of Trickatrices. Don't worry, I'm not going to make that same joke again. Trickatrice. The steals here are wholly unimpressive. You're looking at mostly Phoenix Downs with the rare haste mote from the Cluck and gold needles and high potions from the Chicks. The chests also have an arrow mote on one side and a potion on the other. With the Diamond Armlet, you're looking instead at onion bolts and a bronze helm. With this floor, you probably want to skip everything and move on as fast as possible. Though having said that, you will occasionally get petrified here, in which case those gold needle steals can see a quick turnaround. The seventh floor has you up against two judges and a handful of troops. None of the steals here are worthwhile. The judges carry high potions, gil, and rarely boxes wine, which has already been made moot by our werewolf friend a couple stages prior. The swordsmen carry eye drops, gil, and phoenix downs, and the lone magus has handkerchiefs, gil, and dark motes. The chests are equally lackluster. There's one hidden out of sight on the right side of the arena holding an ether, and one in the back carrying a dark mote. Putting on the Diamond Armlet makes them a bronze armor and the liver technique, which is literally the last thing you need. Burning down the judges ends the stage regardless of how many lackeys are standing, so ignore the chest and focus them down unless you're specifically farming LP. The eighth floor gets interesting again, thanks to having another hidden boss. Before we get there though, the Bagolys in the center platform have echo herbs you can lift, but as a rare steal they also have Viking Coats, which are pretty good early game light armors. The two chests here in the center have an antidote and a meteorite, unless you're wearing the Diamond Armlet, in which case they've been replaced with a bangle and an onion shot. You don't really want any of this, so don't even waste the energy pressing the X button, even if you happen to be standing right on top of them. Now, for the hidden boss. Stand in the center of the platform, and make sure at least one Bagolys is still standing. Like before, killing them all will end the stage regardless of whether the boss is dead or not. After a few seconds of standing there, look to the right, and you should see Imdugud flying towards you from the horizon. Once it lands, you want to immediately start swiping, because the items it's carrying are pretty good early game stuff. It's got a killer bow as a common, a Sirius Gun, and rarely a Parmina Crossbow. Now, it kind of depends on where you are in the story as to whether you want to spend time trying to get some of the rare items here. None of these are on the Karkata level, and if you're near or past the Tomb of Wraithwall, you probably don't want to waste your time on it. If you're heading into Lusu though, these could be worth your time. The 9th floor has good steals all over the place. 3 Liches spawn with you in the center of the room, and you can steal handkerchiefs, agate rings, and rarely even Magick Gloves. You've also got 2 chests on opposite ends of the room containing an ether and a balance mote. Replacing them with a Diamond Armlet turns them into an Argyle Armlet and onion bombs. You can ignore the bombs, but you probably haven't come across the armlet yet, so you should grab one while you're here. Now, there's a secret boss here too, so don't kill all the Liches right away. Head to the treasure chest on your right, and stand just to the left of it. Right next to you, you should see the Cultsworn Lich materialize out of nowhere. He's got some nice items to steal too, a golden shield, a flame shield, and for his rare steal, a Lamia Tiara. The Tiara is a pretty decent mystic armor helm, but like with most rare steals that aren't the Karkata, where you are in the story will play a big part in deciding whether it's worth trying to roll the dice on. Finally, we've got to go up against Goliath. Now, he's got a steal you definitely want. His common steal is the Sword of Kings, well, we'll call it a plot sword, that's equipable by anyone without a license and does really good damage. Now, you can't sell it, so you are stuck with it forever, but that's a minor price to pay for a weapon this good and this easy. His rare steal is actually the goddess's Magicite, a plot accessory, and one you probably got at the beginning of the game, so don't bother trying for it. The normal chests here on opposite sides of Goliath are nothing special, just a potion and an arrow mote. Put on the Diamond Armlet though, and now you've got a steel gorget and some parallel arrows, which are pretty good grabs. Defeating Goliath awards you with 1000 gil, 10 high potions, and 15 handkerchiefs. And if you've killed everything on your way here, you've earned just under 200 license points. Not bad for 15 minutes of work. And that's what we're going to call it today. I'll be back soon with a guide for the next 10 floors, so keep an eye out. Oh, and while it may be tempting to come here with Rex at the very beginning of the game to get a head start on LP and Diamond Armlets, I wouldn't recommend it. Nothing you get while you're here comes with you past the prologue, for, obvious reasons.
Captain, why?
Sorry, Rex.
Our king, what have you done?